you want to witness the most impenetrable emotional shield in the history of human psychology, say something incredibly offensive, highly controversial, or deeply chaotic to a Generation X adult. The average modern human will experience a massive spike in cortisol. Their fight-or-flight response will violently activate, and they will immediately start screaming, arguing, or having a complete emotional meltdown. But the Gen Xer, they will look you dead in the eye, their face completely devoid of emotion, and say one single, devastating word: whatever. Society looks at this signature apathy and aggressively labels them as emotionally stunted, entirely disconnected from reality, or just stubbornly lazy. We live in a modern culture that demands loud, performative outrage, and Gen X's refusal to visibly panic feels like a personal insult to everyone around them. But behavioral scientists and neuroscientists see something entirely different. That simple word, whatever, is not a sign of emotional death. It is a highly advanced neurological circuit breaker. To understand this, you have to look at a psychological concept called cognitive diffusion. Modern brains are highly susceptible to emotional flooding. When a chaotic event occurs, the amygdala completely hijacks the prefrontal cortex, forcing the person to deeply, aggressively internalize the stress. But the Gen X brain has developed a brilliant, ruthless mechanism to immediately sever that connection. When they say whatever, they are actively executing a high-level psychological uncoupling. They are physically refusing to absorb your chaotic energy. They are fiercely protecting their cognitive bandwidth by definitively categorizing your drama as a non-threat. It is not apathy. It is extreme, calculated emotional conservation. But the psychology gets infinitely darker and more fascinating when you look at why their brains are wired this way. We have to examine a phenomenon known as institutional betrayal trauma. Gen X was the very first generation to watch the absolute unedited collapse of societal trust on live televisions. They watched the challenger explode in real time. They saw the highest levels of political authority completely disgraced in massive scandals. And they entered the workforce right as the economy brutally crashed. Because their developing brains absorb this constant stream of massive institutional failure during their most formative years, their neurological threat detection system permanently rewired itself. They do not possess the baseline trust and authority that older generations have, and they do not possess the desperate optimism for systemic change that younger generations hold. Their brains automatically categorize all authority figures, massive corporations, and politicians as inherently incompetent until definitively proven otherwise. Their trademark cynicism is actually a highly evolved biological defense system designed to prevent their nervous systems from ever being completely blindsided by betrayal. And then there is the absolutely terrifying reality of their social socialization. Gen X did not grow up with anti-bullying campaigns, human resources departments, or carefully mediated safe spaces. They grew up in completely feral, high-stakes social environments where adult intervention was literally non-existent. If you had a conflict on a playground in the 1980s, you had to physically and psychologically negotiate your own survival. This brutal, unmediated environment forced their developing brains to build an astronomically high theory of mind. They are master behavioral profilers. They can walk into a chaotic room, scan the environment, and instantly identify the manipulator, the narcissist, and the actual threat in less than 3 seconds. They don't need to argue with toxic people because they already successfully predicted their behavior 5 steps in advance. So, the next time a Gen Xer completely refuses to engage in your panic, your outrage, or your toxic workplace drama, do not mistake their silence for weakness or ignorance. You are dealing with a master of emotional regulation who survived an era of complete institutional collapse and feral social warfare. They are not ignoring you. They are just actively choosing not to let your chaos penetrate their psychological fortress.